served our country now carry invisible wounds, feeling lost, confused, or depressed. You're not alone. The Home Base team is here for you and your family with free, life-changing care. Visit homebase.org.
This program is furnished by Ask the Experts.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to Ask the Experts radio show, proudly sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lewert of Lewert Law, LLC. Sit back for the next half hour as host Steve-O interviews top experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Steve-O offers such educational topics as community association law, family law, chiropractic care, employment law, healthcare law, and public insurance adjusting. Interviews by top experts in their field. And now, here's your host, Steve-O.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry. I've already had 3 shows today. Good evening, South Florida. Welcome to Ask the Experts. Yes, we've got 8 different shows across the country, all Ask the Experts. And sometimes I forget where I'm at, but we're here live. This is not a tape show. We're here live in South Florida. Our show is Ask the Experts. We're on with you every Thursday night. Notice that, Freddie, I got to really think hard sometimes. 6 to 7 drive time every Thursday. And I'm going to tell probably one of the greatest producers in the world, Freddie Santori. Tonight is our 7th year anniversary. 7 years, Freddie, that you've had to put up with me. Anyhow, welcome to the show. We have got 2 great guests with us tonight. The first one is actually, I'm going to call it Estate Planning 101, because the questions we're going to go over tonight are really for people that have not made any plans at all. And I got to tell you, and Freddie knows this, we've had a couple friends of ours die from COVID. And look, you just never know when you're going to go. And to not be prepared is not very smart. So our expert tonight, attorney Natalia Bevilacqua, is going to educate you on getting prepared for all this. And we're going to start off with the small things like wills, but good evening, Natalia.
Hi, Steve. Nice to see you. Congratulations on your anniversary. 7 years is a
7
big deal.
years. Gosh, I cannot believe it. Anyway, tell us about your firm, Natalia.
So I'm an estate planning, probate, and guardianship attorney. That's all I do. I don't do traffic tickets, personal injury, bankruptcy, none of those things. I am solely focused on working with families that are either preparing to give an inheritance or receiving an inheritance, or are dealing with an issue of incapacity of a family member.
Natalia, I got to tell you, I've been doing this for a long time now, and we work with attorneys across the country. I love the fact that you just concentrate on one area of law, because you know as well as I do, there's a lot of attorneys out there that try to do 6 or 7 areas of law, and you pinpoint one area. Now, estate planning, there's elder law, there's guardianship, there's wills, there's probate, but you stay within your comfort zone, your area. And I think it's wonderful that you do that.
I think it makes my life easier, and I think it makes me a better attorney, being focused on one thing rather than trying to learn everything.
I totally agree with you. So tonight, and we already started getting calls already, people who wanted your phone number. That's a good way to start off the show. But let's start off with something easy like, what is a will?
A will is a document that you put together to let everyone know who you want to get your stuff when you die. And that stuff could be anything. It could be $10 in your bank account, or it could be a multi-million dollar business, a home, a car, anything that you want to pass on. A will is a way to formalize your wishes.
And Natalia, you don't have to be a millionaire to have a will. A lot of people think you've got to have a lot of money to have a will. That's not true.
Not at all. And actually, if you don't have a lot of money, then your family does not have a lot of money to waste on court fees and attorney fees. So if you want for your family to receive your inheritance as inexpensively and as smoothly as possible, talking talking to an attorney like myself is a great way to accomplish that.
Absolutely. I got to tell you that I was shocked when the singer Prince did not have a will. With all of his money and all of his managers around him, he did not have a will, and neither did Larry King. Do you know Larry King wrote his will basically on a napkin?
I think there's some hurdles, some emotional hurdles that people have to get over before they come to see an estate planning attorney. Um, I know my father-in-law, for example, he's superstitious. He thinks he signs any type of documents and then he's going to die tomorrow. I, you have to respect other people's beliefs, but we know that, your time to go is when it's your time to go, and only God above is in charge of when that time is. So, but some people do have to get over that, whatever's holding them back.
You're absolutely right, and we're not going to be around forever. But with COVID, you never know, and I think people should really start getting serious about it. Is there a certain age group that people should start thinking about getting a will?
I would say that an 18-year-old, as soon as you turn 18, you should go talk to an attorney. Whether or not you need a will, that's a question of what your family is like, what you have. Most 18-year-olds don't have anything, but some do. And it depends on what your relationship is like with your family. And it also depends what you're doing in life. Do you have a bank account? Are you going to school? A will is not the only document that people need. They're conversations that need to be have that for young people are probably not very easy to have, because we don't think about these things until something happens, until we see something happen to a family member, or a friend's parent passes away, or something that jolts us into action. But anyone who is 18 or older can definitely make life easier for their loved ones by just going to talk to someone. Doesn't mean that you have to sign anything, doesn't mean you have to pay anything. Go talk to an attorney.
Once, like yourself, and then once you have a will, how often should they come back to you to look at the will again?
People should always come back when there are major life changes, a birth, a death, a divorce, move to a different state. And sometimes no changes need to be made, but it's a good idea to review certain documents. I'll give you an example. I have, obviously, in Florida, we have a lot of people that are coming from all over the place to retire, and they have their estate planning documents from wherever, and Florida will honor and respect the documents from other states. However, if you have a friend of yours from, say you're from New York, and a friend of yours from New York is nominated as an executor of your estate, that might work in New York. In Florida, it will not work, because in Florida, in order to be an executor, you have to be either a resident of the state of Florida, or you have to be closely related to the person that passed away. So if you move to Florida and you die in Florida, your friend from New York is neither a Florida resident nor are they related to you. So therefore, they would not be able to be an executor of your estate. And this would be a good opportunity to think of who do you trust to take care of things for you and maybe make some changes.
Well, I want to talk about advanced health care directives, but before I do that, um, and if people who've been listening to the show for years, I normally don't do this. I got to tell you something. Um, Reading your website, listening to you do your show, you really do care about your clients. I mean, you really, I'm not saying other attorneys don't, but you really care about them. And that is so important, especially when you're talking about estate planning.
I really do. And my clients, for, I can't even say for the most part, all of them are wonderful people. They're trying to do right by their family. They are taking care of what they're supposed to take care of. And I mean, they're people like you and I, and people are interesting and people have special qualities about them. And I feel like I have whatever you want to call it, experience, education, talent to do certain things. And I'm very happy to use what I have to help people that sometimes come to me not in the best time in their life.
Yes. Well, let's talk about advanced health care directives and the consequences of not having them.
I think that everyone should think back to a young lady named Terry Schiavo.
Oh,
She
yes.
was all over the news, what's been 10, 15 years now.
Yes.
And not every case is this dramatic, but I believe that family spent close to $100,000 in legal fees, battling out between the husband and the parents as to what to do. And never mind the money, most of us don't have $100,000 to spend on this type of court case. But just imagine the heartbreak that you're dealing with as a parent when this happened to your child. Imagine the heartbreak that you're dealing with as a spouse, as a child. So, whenever there's an emergency situation, anything that can be done to just take a little bit of stress off of people is a very worthwhile pursuit. So, we were talking about 18-year-olds earlier today. That would be an incredibly important document for everyone to have because you never know what's going to happen. You don't know what's around the corner, and you may never need it, and you may never have a medical emergency in your entire life, and that's great. But if you do and you have that piece of paper and your family knows that you have that piece of paper, then you have just made somebody's life a little easier during a very, very difficult time that nobody wants to, that it's a situation that nobody wants to find themselves in.
I've never, I've never sat. Well, I planned out my estate planning. It was very tough because I'm talking about my death and planning after my death, and it was a strange feeling, but it has to be done.
I think when you're thinking about your death, the important thing for the person that's thinking about it, you need to prepare yourself spiritually because death is coming one way or another. And once you go, none of the stuff that you have, cars, houses, none of it matters, right? What matters is the
Right.
people that are left behind. And how do you want them to be left behind? I mean, obviously, first of all, we don't want to leave our children behind, for example, right? But inevitably, when they do, how do you want them to feel? Do you want them to feel that you left them with a mess? Or do you want them to feel like you really cared enough about them to, talk to an attorney a few times and sign some papers? And now there is clarity. There is no arguments between the family. And just in general, everybody knows what to do and everybody knows that they were cared enough about for someone to take the steps to do this for them.
Well, this is a fast 15 minutes. We have to go to break. Natalia, give everybody your phone number and your website address. I just bragged on your website.
I'll skip the website because it's my whole last name. But my phone number is 561-877-1515.
Okay. And I got to tell you, I don't know, whoever did your website did a wonderful job. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we have so much to talk about. And one of the areas is an area very close to my heart about disabled children when they turn 18. We're going to go to break. We're here with attorney Natalia Bevilacqua. This is the Ask the Expert Show. I'm your host, Steve. I will be right back.
Bevilacqua law, thoughtfully and intentionally, limits its practice to interrelated areas of probate, estate planning, and guardianship. You've worked hard for what you have. You love your family. Do not leave your assets stuck in court. Do not leave your family dealing with delays and red tape. Benjamin Franklin said, "Failing to plan is planning to fail." Call Bevilacqua Law today to schedule a consultation to discuss your family, your goals, your concerns, and your wishes. They make this a painless process that will leave you knowing that you protected your family. Your family will feel secure and loved, and you can feel at ease, knowing you did the very best thing for them. Call today, 561-877-1515. Again, 561-877-1515.
We are back now with more of the Ask the Experts radio show, proudly sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lewert of Lewert Law LLC, covering South Florida.
And we are back. This is the Ask the Expert Show. I'm your host, Steve O. I just got a tweet from a listener, and when I opened it up, I don't know why I was surprised about it, but it's telling me that we're on Facebook right now, we're on Twitter right now, our show, and so besides the 4 radio stations that we're on, we're also on a lot of the platforms, so you can watch our show. So we're here with attorney Natalia Bevilacqua, and she strictly does estate planning. Power of attorney is very important, isn't it?
I say it's the most important document because one way or another, your family will receive your inheritance, whether they fight over it or not. But power of attorney gives another person ability to sign on your behalf in regards to your banking, your finances, your home, your property, your insurance, anything that you could sign for. Power of attorney can give power to another person to sign for you. And the reason that this is important is because there's only 2 ways out of here. You're either going to die or you're going to first become incapacitated and then die. So when a person becomes incapacitated, and that could happen for a variety of reasons. It could be an accident, it could be just normal part of aging, Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that. So when a person becomes incapacitated, they can no longer manage their property. They can't, if they need to move, they don't have the legal capacity to sell their house and move into a facility, or sell a big house and downgrade to a smaller house, or they can't write their own checks anymore. So it's so incredibly important that there is someone designated in your power of attorney to act on your behalf in the event of your incapacity. And your incapacity could be short term. You could just simply be in a hospital for a month. And in the meantime, nothing's getting paid. Meaning your bills are not getting paid. Or your incapacity could be long term to where you're declining And the only alternative to having a power of attorney is your family going to court to get guardianship over you. And guardianship is a very invasive, very privacy violating, and expensive court process. That's, as far as of all my guardianship clients, I've never had one say, "Oh, this is great. I hope to do this
Yeah.
again." So if you can have a simple document, power of attorney, that is properly written, not a template from somewhere, but a properly written power of attorney that actually gives the appropriate powers to a person that you trust, then you can really save your family a whole lot of grief and a whole lot of money in a situation if it ever comes down to it.
God, Elaine, that's so perfect because it leads me into my next question, which we've talked about on the show before. I had a very close friend of mine that her her daughter was autistic, and I was shocked when I saw the statistics. 1 out of 10 children that are born are autistic, and here's what happens, and usually it's a big surprise. So if you have an autistic child at home, you should, I mean, if they're in that 17, 16, 17 year age, you should definitely contact Natalia because when they turn 18, this is when guardianship kicks in. And you are right, it is so tough. It's something that we did it the wrong way. We tried to handle it ourselves. I would tell anybody, don't ever do that. Hire an attorney to do it. It was a tough
This is
road,
a
Natalia.
I'm sure it was. This is a special type of guardianship. It's called guardianship advocacy, and it's specifically designed to assist usually parents of children with developmental disabilities for when those children turn 18. It's a simplified guardianship, and this is the only type of guardianship in Florida that does not require the use of an attorney. But as you said, it's not the way to go because there are so many rules and standards that we have in guardianship court and so many documents that need to be submitted that it's overwhelming. And if you're already taking care of a child that needs your help, sometimes 24/7, whatever you're in any circumstances, being a parent is hard. So taking
Yes,
on learning on a whole new legal process is not something that I would personally recommend. And a
I'm
lot of
telling
times
you, you're
parents are
right.
very upset and even angry about the fact that, you've been taking care of this child. I mean, this is your child. What closer relationship do you have in life than, your spouse and your children? And this is your child that's turning 18 and can't manage for themselves, make healthcare decisions, make educational decisions, and all of a sudden you are prohibited to make those decisions for your child because now they're a legal adult. And guardianship advocacy is not a terribly painful process. It's a fairly smooth process that is very common, and at least where I practice, judges are pretty wonderful, and they're not trying to get anyone. They really are trying to help these parents continue to take care of their children.
A lot of paperwork involved.
A
Every
lot
year
of
you have
paperwork.
to write, keep track of everything you've done.
Yes, you do, and it's good and bad. I mean, on one hand, it's a big burden to put on parents, but on the other hand, someone has to look out for these children, well, for these adults that are under guardianship, making sure that they are well taken care of.
Natalia, oh, I got to tell you, you should have been a professor. You explained everything so well, and the show just goes so smoothly. I had so many more questions to ask you. Let's give everybody your phone number.
It's 561 877-1515.
And if you listen to our commercial, we're going to go to commercial break before our next show. You will hear Natalia's number again. She is a incredibly estate planning attorney that really cares about her clients, and this is all she does. And we're so lucky to have her. Natalia will be back with us again next month. Thank you so much. You're a wonderful guest.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll talk to you next month. Have a happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Let's go to break. When we come back, we've got our healthcare show with attorney Jackie Grady. We'll be right back.
Bevilacqua law, thoughtfully and intentionally, limits its practice to interrelated areas of probate, estate planning, and guardianship. You've worked hard for what you have. You love your family. Do not leave your assets stuck in court. Do not leave your family dealing with delays and red tape. Benjamin Franklin said, "Failing to plan is planning to fail." Call Bevilacqua Law today to schedule a consultation to discuss your family, your goals, your concerns, and your wishes. They make this a painless process that will leave you knowing that you protected your family. Your family will feel secure and loved, and you can feel at ease, knowing you did the very best thing for them. Call today, 561-877-1515. Again, 561-877-1515.
Grady Legal PA is a boutique labor, employment, and healthcare